Hi everyone, my name is Kelly and I teach tap dancing at the Louise Ryrie School of Dance and Drama. So in this video today, I'm going to talk to you about my career, starting off from when I was dancing from a very young age, all the way to where I am now as Head of Performing Arts at a secondary school in South Croydon. So let's start from the very beginning. So I started dancing at the age of 3 at a dance school in Horsham, and I did classes in ballet, tap, modern and jazz. I took part in my exams through the ISTD, similar to what we do at Louise's, and I also took part in shows which were once every 2 years. Now you'll be interesting to know that dance wasn't my first love. I was a really avid swimmer when I was younger, and I used to swim at least 3 times a week. Now, unfortunately, dancing and swimming started to clash and I had to make the really difficult decision which one to carry on doing. Thinking about it now, I am incredibly grateful and happy that I made the decision to stick with dancing, as I wouldn't be where I am today without it. So at school, I decided to pick GCSE dance as an option block. Now, this was a relatively new subject at the time, and I was really interested to see how it would sort of broaden my understanding of dance. Within GCSE dance, we were taught the fundamentals of choreography, performance and appreciation. So appreciation is sort of the theoretical sides of dance. So the history, how it is a piece of art, how the culture is so important, and also looking at different professional dance works. And also I was introduced to contemporary as a dance style and I fell in love with that dance style. My dance teacher at my secondary school was incredibly inspirational to me and kind of encouraged me to take the route of becoming a teacher. She was relatively new to teaching when she taught us GCSE dance. However, she provided us with so many opportunities with our learning. So taking us on trips, allowing us to do performances, allowing us to create our own company as a school and going to schools and performing for them. So I am incredibly thankful for her as a teacher, and I really hope that I've kind of taken on everything that she taught me as a student and I'm now able to give that back to my students. I then went on to college and I'd studied dance, drama and English. So dance and drama kind of went hand in hand together, and with what I learned at GCSE, I then learned a lot more with regards to A-level study. And it was here that I met the wonderful Katie Roscoe. And again, amazing teachers. We were provided with, again, so many different opportunities, like to go to the West End, to watch performances. We even got to go to New York. We got to take part in a Broadway workshop and go and watch a Broadway show. So again, my learning was amazing, and I was provided with all these opportunities that kind of made me want to become the teacher that I am today. Also, whilst I was at college, I had a part-time job at a leisure centre and I was a children's party and activities host, and I provided sort of parties in soft play, or we did like dance parties or arts and crafts parties, and we did holiday workshops, which again kind of cemented the idea of me wanting to work with children, and kind of gave me that passion and that enjoyment with sharing my knowledge, sharing my enthusiasm for different things to children. During my final year at college, I had to make the decision about what university I would like to apply to. So I knew that I didn't want to go into the performance aspect of dance. I wanted to go into more the academic in terms of how I could improve my experience, ready to go into the teaching world. So I did some research with the support of my tutor, and I came up with the 3 universities, which were University of Roehampton, Chichester University and Bath Spa. So for all 3 places I had to audition. I declined my audition for Bath Spa purely because it was so far away from home and I wanted to be close to home. So I went to audition at both Roehampton and at Chichester and was offered a place. I decided to go with Roehampton University purely because I just fell in love with the university when I went for my audition. In terms of the grounds, very, very beautiful there. A short 15-minute train journey into London where I could take part in classes. And I also felt like the tutors there had a range of experiences and a wealth of knowledge in dance overall. And I'm really, really pleased that I made that decision to go to Roehampton University. While studying for my degree, we focused a lot on contemporary dance, focusing on the different dance styles, which were Limone, Cunningham, Release and Graham. I threw myself into the course. I really enjoyed learning the different techniques within contemporary, and also the modules that I chose in my second and my third year. I kind of worked with that idea of going into the teaching, into dance education. So I made sure that the modules that I picked were suited to that. I also did a module in dance movement therapy, which I found incredibly interesting. And if I hadn't have gone into teaching, it could have possibly been another career for me. So I graduated from Roehampton University in 2012. 2012 was a really big year for me, as I also auditioned and took part in the Olympic opening ceremony in London. So at the beginning of the year, Katie and I decided to audition to be part of the ceremony, not really knowing what we kind of were letting ourselves in for. And it was a super exciting time. We got through the audition process and we were selected to be part of the Thanks Tim section, which was choreographed by Kenrick Sandy. So for those of you that do BTEC or GCSE dance, you would recognise that name, as he choreographed Emancipation of Expressionism, which is one of the set works that we have to study. I was in the 80s and 90s section and Katie was in the noughties section. And we had to do a rigorous amount of rehearsals, going up to North London every Sunday and rehearsing and taking part in learning the choreography. And it was just a fantastic and amazing experience for us to be part of. When we got to the Olympic Stadium, the first time we were allowed in there, it was just amazing. Goosebumps all around. It was absolutely incredible. And we felt so lucky to be part of that amazing experience and to do something for our country, which was amazing. Obviously, when we did the performance in July, it was the day after my graduation, so those 2 days were just an absolute whirlwind, and it's an experience that I will never forget. It was during the Olympic rehearsals when Katie asked me if I'd be interested in teaching contemporary at her dance school. Of course, I jumped at that and I said, yep, I'd love some experience, especially before doing my teacher training. And she said that she would speak to her dance teacher and would get back to me. So a couple of weeks later, I then received a text from someone called Louise. She introduces herself as the owner of the Louise Ryrie School of Dance and Drama and asked me if I'd be interested in meeting her regarding teaching contemporary at the dance school. We met and I was really happy with the dance school. I think obviously she was happy with me as a teacher, and I started teaching junior, senior and adult dances. I was chucked in at the deep end. Louise said to me or asked me if I could choreograph a piece for Forward Motion at the Hall. I also took the senior girls to a Red Cross dance competition where they were awarded Best Technique, which was a really amazing moment. I did some festival choreography, and obviously my first dance show with the school was Love Letters. I felt incredibly lucky and privileged to be part of that show. Obviously with the subject matter, it was really important for me to sort of do that justice, and I thoroughly enjoyed being part of the teaching aspect rather than the performing aspect that I had done previously at my old dance school. I also did my own summer school with Bridget. We did The Wizard of Oz, and we also did some workshops with some contemporary dance artists, and I choreographed a piece for Chris Dingle 1 year. Within a year of teaching contemporary at the dance school, Louise asked me if I would be happy to take on the role of teaching tap. I jumped at that opportunity, as tap dance and contemporary are my favourite styles, and I was so excited to get my tap shoes back on again. And so far I've been teaching tap now for 8 years at the dance school. I teach lessons from grade 2 all the way up into adult. So with adults, we have a mixed class, and I've also done some workshops for beginners tappers as well. We've done a number of tapathons for children in need, and I have also choreographed dances for festivals. One of my proudest moments of teaching tap at the dance school has to be the choreography from Moving On Up, my 42nd Street inspired dance. I was so proud of every single dancer that did that piece of choreography. It was so tricky. And I pushed everyone, I pushed the children, I pushed the adults to get the very best that they could. And watching that dance back, I still watch it back now, I couldn't be prouder. And I love teaching tap at the dance school, and I hope that I can continue teaching tap for a very long time. After graduating from university, I decided to become a Zumba qualified instructor, and I taught adults and children. I then created my own sort of small business doing children's Zumba classes in Horsham and Crawley. And I also ran Zumba parties for children, which I thoroughly enjoyed. So taking on what I had done previously when I'd left school, and kind of using that and creating and doing parties for children was really, really encouraging. Obviously encouraging them to be fit, encouraging them to be physical, playing lots of fun games with them, and showing them the importance of exercise was something that I thoroughly enjoyed doing. Also, during this time, I got another job. So at this point, I was working 3 jobs at a secondary school, and I was a cover supervisor and year 9 form tutor. So always in the back of my head, I had the idea of doing my teacher training. However, to get onto a teacher training course, you have to have the experience. So this was an amazing opportunity for me to work in a secondary school as a cover supervisor, so covering lessons when teachers were absent, and so obviously covering lessons in a variety of different subjects, which I thoroughly enjoyed doing. Now, the only downside about this job is that the school didn't have dance on their curriculum. So obviously I had to make a change to that immediately. So I started running a dance club, and also was allowed the opportunity to do dance lessons within the PE lessons. So getting loads of experience, and then they provided me with my own year 9 tutor group. So then that gave me the opportunity to take on board, the pastoral side of a teacher. And I also had the chance to go through the options process with my tutor group. During this point, I then decided to apply for teacher training, and I applied at the Royal Academy of Dance in London. Now, this is quite a rigorous sort of audition process. I'd had to go, well, before I even went there, I had to film myself teaching to no one. So that was very strange and very odd. So I had to film myself teaching a piece of choreography. And then I had a interview where they asked me about sort of my aspirations, what I wanted to get out of the teacher training. And I was really lucky to be provided one of the 20 places at the Royal Academy of Dance to do my teacher training, starting in 2014. So with regards to my teacher training, the course took me a full year, and that year was incredibly intense. So the course itself was a PGCE, which is a postgraduate certificate in education. And during this time, I had to do 2 placements in 2 different schools. So I did one placement at a school in Slough, and my second placement was at a school in Eastbourne. So I was having to commute and travel to those schools. So at first I started living in Putney. So I was driving from Putney to Slough during my first placement. And then I moved back home to Horsham. And so I was driving from Horsham to Eastbourne every day for my placements. I absolutely loved the placements, apart from the commutes, obviously, but it was such a good experience in terms of, going to schools in different areas, and also learning about, my first school was an all-girls school, whereas my second school was a mixed school. So it was kind of understanding the differences between teaching all girls, but also including boys in the dance lessons. And I really enjoyed that experience. It was a challenge, but it was really fun once I kind of got them interested in taking part in dance. I also gained some experience working in a primary school, as well as a special needs school. And those were, again, experiences that I didn't think I would get to have, but I really enjoyed them. And especially working in a special needs school, just seeing how, accessible dance is to different types of learners was just so amazing to see. I had to write a dissertation, my second dissertation, which I based around education. And I also completed part of my master's programme, having to do a presentation on that dissertation that I wrote. So if I decided to do my master's in the future, then that would contribute to part of my master's degree. So I graduated in August 2015, and I was awarded my certificate by the one and only Darcy Bussell. Again, an amazing day. A really proud day for me. Like the year was really, really hard, juggling work and obviously juggling the driving, the commute, and all the assignments that we had to do on top of all the planning and the preparation for our lessons was really, really hard. But I'm so proud of myself that I did it and that I came out as an outstanding teacher. I started my first teaching job in September 2015 at an all-girls secondary school in Upper Norwood. So when you do your teacher training, you're then expected to do a year as an NQT, which stands for Newly Qualified Teacher. So during this year, I had to, again, complete assignments, have regular observations to make sure that I was on track to be able to achieve my teaching qualification. I also at the school had to teach English and PSHE. So I had to learn to be incredibly adaptable. And although it was a challenge, it was a good challenge because it was nice for me to kind of add more subjects to my teaching style. And it also helped me kind of create those links, those cross-curricular links between those different subjects. Within my second year of teaching, I was appointed as head of dance and I got to change the curriculum, and we also had the new GCSE dance specification introduced, so I had to completely revamp all the schemes of work to make sure that the learning for the students in Key Stage 3 sort of met the requirements that they were expected to know by the end of Key Stage 4 for their GCSEs. I also, in my third year of teaching at that school, I was asked to introduce drama into the curriculum, as they knew that I had some drama experience from my A-levels, but also when I was teaching English, I was trying to embed some drama practical tasks in there, as I felt that the students responded really well to that. So that was a really good opportunity for me. In my fourth year of teaching at that school, I started to think about finding a job a little bit closer to home, as I was having to commute. And I then noticed a job position at a school in South Croydon. And this was at a brand new school that had just been open for about a year and a half. And the post was for Head of Performing Arts. Now, Head of Performing Arts included taking control of dance, drama and music. So I thought, let's go for it, let's try. So I went for my interview at this brand new school in South Croydon. And I was appointed the post. I just couldn't believe it. It was my dream job. So my school that I'm currently at now is a specialist school in sport and also creative and performing arts. And they really value the arts and they see the impact and the importance they have on the students' learning, but also on their well-being. So I'm incredibly lucky to be working at such an amazing school. So I've been teaching at my school now for the past year. So obviously this year has been really difficult with regards to COVID, and I'm really looking forward to things starting to return back to normality. I hope you have enjoyed listening to my story, and I'm hoping maybe I've inspired some of you to take on a career in teaching.